Hey there, y'all. I'm Paula Deen, and today we're in for some fun because we're going to skip the main course and head straight for dessert. A couple of friends of mine are coming around later for what I call a little dessert cocktail party, so we better get started. First, I think we'll whip up this lemon curd pudding with a fresh dollop of sweetened whipped cream on top. Next, it's Nacho Mama's banana pudding. In fact, it's my friend Rachel's, and it's simply sinful. Then I'll show you a recipe for the light and airy pecan dream. That's always a favorite around here. So forget about dinner, y'all, and just bring your sweet tooth. You know, here in Savannah, if you know anything about us, you know that we can be very decadent. In fact, sometimes we're just downright devilish, and that's what we're going to be at tonight's party. We're skipping the meal, we're going straight to desserts and cocktails. But before we start our show today, I feel that I need to speak with a wine expert to help us pair our wines up with all these incredible desserts that we're going to be having tonight. You know, Margaret Mitchell once wrote that the blood-red firs of the North Georgia foothills made the best cotton land in the world. But what she forgot to mention was that it also makes some pretty fine wine. And I couldn't be luckier because one of my dearest friends, Dan Baldwin, happens to run this itty-bitty winery down the road called Chateau Elan, just outside Atlanta. And you know, Dan knows more about my food than I know about his wine. So let's go see what he's got for us. Dan, what I'm trying to do here today is match up my dessert wines with the desserts that I prepared. And I'm hoping that you can help me.
Dessert wines, by definition, are sweet wines, including a port, a sherry, a cream sherry, and some of our muscadine wines here.
Listen to this now to go with your wonderful wines. Nacho Mama's banana pudding.
Okay.
Now, what would you have me serve with that?
Well, we might very well have this Duncan Creek muscadine wine, or possibly even this peach-flavored summer wine. It would go lovely with that dessert.
Why is that?
Well, because the Duncan Creek has a lovely muscadine flavor that is kind of a wild, fruity character that might even be described as tropical and would go along nicely with the bananas. And the peach would not be too far off from that flavor also. What else are you going to be having, Paula?
Lemon curd pudding.
Well, for the lemon dish, I believe the peach muscadine would work very nicely with that.
And the peach is actually not peach colored at all.
No, it's a peach essence that makes that nice aroma. Smell that.
I think this is just perfect for the lemon curd pudding.
Thank you very much. Glad you're enjoying them.
Delicious, delicious. All right, now what can we do for that pecan shortbread?
I have a very lovely cream sherry here that is both sweet and would pair very lovely with nuts. And the pecans will pair very well with this sherry. It has a nice nutty character all its own.
Why are we in this sweet wine territory with our desserts?
At the end of the meal, we have very robust flavors. We have chocolate, cheeses, coffee, cigars, and some of these dessert wines pair very well with these flavors.
Thanks again, Dan, so much.
Well, thank you, Paula, and just enjoy it.
I will. We've collected all our magical spirits now, so let's get our party going. This dessert that I'm starting with today is so incredibly good. The name is lemon curd pudding, and we're going to begin by separating our eggs. I'll never forget the first time that I made this recipe. I have a dear friend named Bob Christian. In fact, he is one of the country's finest decorative artists. He brought me in one morning a recipe. He said, Paula, you've just got to try this. It's so good. He said, it's one of my favorites. And so I said, I'm going to get right on it, Bob. I walked into the kitchen, made it, and we ate the whole pan immediately. I turned right around, made another pan, and we ate it too. It's so delicious. So we're just going to beat these until they form soft peaks. See how quick we did that? Now we're ready to assemble the rest of our dessert. We're going to begin with sugar, flour, about a half a teaspoon of salt, We're just gonna blend our dry ingredients in, and then we're gonna add our half and half. And if you don't have half and half on hand, you can use milk, it doesn't matter. But I just like the half and half because it makes it just a little bit richer. You know, and another thing I like about this dessert, it's very simple and plain, but you have the ability to dress it up and it really looks like you've gone to some trouble. And we're just gonna beat these up just slightly. So we're just gonna mix those eggs into there. And now we're just gonna add fresh lemon juice. And now we're gonna zest these lemons. And this gives it such a nice bite. I would not suggest leaving out your zest. So we're just gonna transfer that over to our bowl. And then we're gonna take our meringue now and fold it into our batter. And you won't believe when you take this out of the oven, this dessert is gonna have a very light, delicate, cake-like top. And then in the bottom, you're gonna have this rich lemon custard. And I think when I'm through with this and you see it, you're gonna know why I made 2 recipes back to back. Now we're gonna put this into a prepared bowl. You can do this in a square dish or a round dish. I've chosen a round one today. And we have lightly greased it. And we're just gonna pour it. You can see it already starting to separate a little bit. You could see some of the liquid coming out that's gonna make that wonderful rich custard. And we're gonna water bath it because it is a little on the delicate side and we don't want that bottom to burn or get too hard. So that's all we do. We're ready for the oven now. We're gonna put it in a 350-degree oven for about 35 minutes. And always be careful when you're working with a water bath because you don't want your liquid to go into your dessert and you certainly don't want it to slosh up and burn your hands. And I happen to have another one in this oven and you can see the cake part kind of floating around on top of that custard. And I told you earlier, this looks very plain, but you can dress up this dish to look very, very festive. So with this one, I'm gonna plate it up and I've just got to have a taste. And this is good served either warm or cold. But I love putting them in the little compotes. And then you can sprinkle it with a little powdered sugar and let it even flow around on your plate. That'll just let folks know that there's powdered sugar somewhere in this. Now we're just gonna top it with a little fresh whipped cream. I love fresh whipped cream. Gonna stick a little fresh mint and a little lemon twist. And you can see how I transformed this ordinary dessert into a fantastic dessert. I'm starving. I've gotta taste it. I can see why we ate the whole thing. It's so good. I've got such a surprise for you in our next dish. It's called Not Your Mama's Banana Pudding. So y'all don't leave me.
I so hope y'all are enjoying the show. And if you do, be sure to click like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you'll never miss a video. And we'll be right back after the break.
I have such fun when I make this dish. I can't help but laugh every time I make it because it makes me think of my friend Rachel that lives in Jacksonville. Well, one day Rachel had been up to see me and she said, "Oh my gosh, Paula," she said, "I have the best recipe for banana pudding. It's so different from what we usually do." She said, "I've got to send it to you." So she was true to her word. She sent it to me along with a note saying, "Paula, the original name of this recipe was called Mama's Banana Pudding." But Rachel said that when she finally got around to making it and she tasted it, She said, well, it damn sure ain't my mama's banana pudding. My mama's banana pudding is not that good. So she said, I've renamed the recipe, Not Your Mama's Banana Pudding. And I thought that was so funny. She went on to tell me that she had ended the day with a terrible bellyache because she had overserved herself. Now, one of the things that makes this banana pudding different from your regular Southern banana pudding is these wonderful buttery chessmen cookies that we're putting in it. You know, normally you would use a vanilla wafer. Now, if you want to cut up your bananas earlier in the day, you can. All you have to do is just toss them in a little lemon juice. And that'll keep them from turning dark on you. Because brown bananas really are not so appetizing looking. This is another real simple recipe, y'all. We're going to start with an instant vanilla pudding for our custard. We're going to add the milk. And you can see that that doesn't take long for it to start getting thick. So we're going to let that set for a minute and it'll thicken on up. And over here we're going to mix together a softened cream cheese and a sweetened condensed milk. This makes anything good. And we're going to take our very same beater. We don't even have to wash it because eventually it's all going to wind up together anyway. When you get the two ingredients blended, then you can move it up to high speed and really get it creamy. You can see how quickly now, just while we were blending this, that our pudding's set up. So we're just going to fold these together. Great start. Oh, that's so good. I really love this recipe because no cook, no bake. Now this is the only thing that I do differently from Rachel. She uses a prepared whipped topping where I would be using a fresh whipped cream. So you can do either one there, whichever you like. And you don't have to be careful folding this together because it's not going to break on you. So we're ready. And you'll notice we're not even doing multiple layers on this. We just spread that out. And then we're going to finish this off by just topping it with another layer of cookies. Look at the cookies. They've got all kind of different symbols on them. You see the horses and the crowns. Look at that. It's got all the chess pieces. All we're going to do now is throw it in the refrigerator, chill it good, and it's ready to eat. Now I've got one here that's been in the fridge about 2 hours now. And I think that we're going to find he's nice and chilled. Yeah, see how he's set up? You can see. Banana pudding is a dessert that is so unpretentious. I'm not even going to bother garnishing this one. I'm just going to dig right in. I can see how Rachel overserved herself. It's a great new twist to an old-fashioned favorite. And coming up next, Pecan Dreams.
I hope y'all are enjoying the show, and I want to hear from you. Tell me what recipes or videos you'd like to see me make by just leaving a short comment below. Now, let's get back to the show, y'all.
The last dish I'm preparing for y'all today is called Pecan Dreams. Pecan. Depends on where you're from. I'm going to start with flour and powdered sugar. Just going to kind of stir those together. I formulated this recipe with the buffet in mind because I thought it would just be a great ending to a meal, and people do love it. We're just going to take a stick of butter. Imagine that. And an 8-ounce package of softened cream cheese. I'm going to kind of do it in chunks. rather than just throwing the whole bar in. It'll be easier to cut in smaller pieces. If you like shortbread cookies, you're going to love this recipe. And I do. I love the crumbly, buttery flavor that you get from a shortbread. We're going to cut the butter and the cream cheese into our flour and sugar mixture. This is when a good man comes in handy, you know. You can ask him if he'll just cut this in for you, and you pretend to fan around the refrigerator and be busy and working over there. And before you know it, he's done all the hard work. And you can see how crumbly it's going to be. And that's all about shortbread. Okay, we're there. So we're just going to put this into a greased dish, because you want to make sure when you go to cut these that they're going to come out nicely for you. Now I'm going to just kind of work up my dough a little bit to make sure all that loose flour and sugar down there is in there good. So don't ever hesitate. Girls, I feel like God gave me one of the best spoons in the world right here. Okay, we've got him packed in there good. And now for the pecans. Toss them around in there and then kind of press them down into your dough. Okay, we're going to put this in a 350-degree oven. And we're going to bake it for about 30 minutes. And the most important part of this dish is to make sure it's completely cooled at the end of its cooking time. I have one that's already baked, and this one's been out cooling now for about 2 hours. And it's very important that you be able to touch your dish without any heat coming from it, because we're fixing to dress this with fresh whipped cream. And if you have heat coming from this, it'll break down your whipping cream and you'll just have a runny mess all over it. So this is the most important step of this dessert. Now I've already sweetened and whipped this cream, and I'm going to add toffee bits. Now this is found in the bacon section at the grocery store. So it's going to give our whipped cream a whole different twist. And we're just going to fold that in. And it's important also that your cream be whipped stiff enough. And we're just going to scoop this right on the top. We're just going to spread this over the shortbread. I do love whipping cream. I want to make sure that I grease my pan good enough so that it'll pop out. And I did. Look at that luscious shortbread. Can you see the layer of pecans in there? And then the toffee chips give your fresh whipped cream such nice texture. I think this is my favorite show so far. And when we come back, I'm going to share some hot baking tips with you.
I so hope y'all are enjoying the show. And if you do, be sure to click like, subscribe, and the notification bell so you'll never miss a video. And we'll be right back after the break.
Just a couple of little quick last-minute tips for you. On your lemons, to render the most juice from it, personally I like to stick mine in the microwave for about 10 or 15 seconds. But if you don't have a microwave, just take it and just roll it, and it'll break up all that meat inside that lemon. And these little reamers are wonderful. It'll get right up in there and just ream that lemon right on out of there. For storing your nuts, it's very simple. Just put them in a freezer bag, press the air out of them, seal them up, and keep them in your freezer. These can go directly from the freezer to your food processor. You don't have to wait, no downtime. In fact, these nuts can even last up to a year in the freezer. As you can see by my table, I've gotten everything prepared, and I've even got my wines matched up with the desserts I'm serving, which is the lemon curd pudding, the pecan shortbreads, Nacho Mama's banana pudding, And down here I have the lemon curd pudding that we dressed up from this dish right here. And you can see how yummy and pretty that dish is. I hope that all of y'all's dessert cocktail parties are a success. And until next time, America, best dishes from my kitchen to yours.
Hey y'all, it's Paula Deen. Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and click the subscribe button as well as the notification bell to be alerted when I post a video. Love and best dishes, y'all.